Tensions seem to be now mounting for Mohammed Yunus interim government in Bangladesh. Amid its worsening relationship with India, Myanmar's insurgent groups have now taken control of parts of Bangladesh in its southeast borders. According to news reports, Myanmar's insurgent group, the Arakan Army, has seized parts of Bangladesh's Teknaf region. Now, this area is not only strategically significant but also sensitive due to its proximity to Rohingya refugee camps and Bangladesh's famous St. Martin Island. Now, Myanmar has been consumed by a civil war since the army seized power in a coup in 2021. Rakhine had become a focal point for the civil war in which pro-democracy guerrillas and ethnic minority armed forces took on the country's military rulers after the army ousted elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi. Now, the Arakan Army is in control of the entire area, and the 270-kilometer border dividing Myanmar from Bangladesh has come out and said that there are as many as 11 militant groups operating out of Rohingya refugee camps in Bangladesh. They are killing, raping, kidnapping and torturing the minorities, and that there is a presence of Al-Qaeda and Jamaat-e-Islami in those regions and in that area. What does this really mean for India as well as for Bangladesh? Also, India is setting up, remember, Kaladan Multi-Modal Transport Projects, or KMTTP, which was aimed at connecting the port of Kolkata with the port of Sittwe in Rakhine of Arakan state. From there, it would be connecting to Mizoram by road. Now, this project has the waterways component and road component. Waterways has been done. What's remaining is roadways that would connect the Sittwe port to Mizoram. Joining me to discuss the future of this project as well as what's really happening in Bangladesh, the challenges that lie for Bangladesh vis-a-vis the insurgency and the rule of Arakan Army in Myanmar. Joining us on the show is Major General Sanjay Meston, defense and geopolitical expert. Also with us on the show is Colonel Arakan Singh, a former research and analysis wing officer and senior journalist, as well as author Subir Bhomik. Gentlemen, thank you very much for taking time out. Mr. Meston, I want to come to you first, sir. What are you making of what's really happening in Myanmar right now, and how significant are developments vis-a-vis Bangladesh?
Firstly, there are a lot of significant developments which seem to have taken place. I think the Arakan Army has taken over all the border outposts of the military junta and has also captured the area of Teknaf, which is just actually in the area of Cox's Bazar, where actually I have myself been there in 2007. And therefore, the Rakhine state is what Arakans are looking. The Arakan Army is looking to take total strategic autonomy into that. And they are fighting for the freedom of the Arakan people within the Myanmaris, from within the Myanmarese government. So therefore, the way things are, I personally feel it is of little strategic advantage to India, and I will say why. Firstly, you talked about the Kaladan project. I think Kaladan project, half of it, or in fact the bulk of it, goes through the Sittwe project, then along the Katwa, the Galeva river, and thereafter it goes to Paletwa, from where by road it goes to Mizoram. So generally this area is in control of the Arakan Army, that is the Rakhine state, and also of the Chin state, where the Chin army is also operating. So most of these armies, which are referred to as the militant groups by the Myanmarese junta government. So I think the Northern Alliance of this group, which includes Kachin Independent Army, of course the Arakan Army, the Chin rebels, and all these people have combined. So overall in the interest, and I think the bulk of the Arakan population is Buddhist. So firstly this army, Arakan Army, is in favor of this Kaladan project. So therefore it is in the strategic interest of India, because this project was conceived to overcome our weaknesses along the Siliguri corridor, and therefore this was an alternate mode of transport which was resorted to. And 2016, the Sittwe port was constructed by India. And therefore, this is one of the biggest advantages. The second advantage is the controversial St. Martin's Island. Now, once these Arakan Army people are very close, and of course, close to St. Martin's Island, which is just from this mainland, I would say Cox's Bazar, Teknaf, and this corridor, the distance is about 9 kilometers. So, presence of Arakan Army will obviously deter the Americans, because when they see a lot of instability in fighting amongst a lot of groups here, so the American interest obviously will be dissuaded.
Right.
However, it is to the strategic disadvantage of Bangladesh. But as on date, where the where the government of Bangladesh, the interim government is not aligned towards India, I think whatever developments have taken place, it probably is to the strategic advantage of India.
All right. Colonel Singh, you know, the Arakan Army is saying we'll allow Kaladan project to go on and will not deter any substantive efforts to connect that roadway. The waterway has been made, the roadway. In your assessment, should India be worried right now?
No, not really, because firstly, let me put it this way. What you see is happening in Myanmar is a proxy war. Now, there are US proxies, there are Chinese proxies, and where do you put India? I just leave it to you. But we do have institutions and leverages. You cannot deny that. So US versus China proxy war, the Chins are there, the Nagas are there, the Kachins are there. They're all part of the national unity government and the People's Defense Force. And then you have this, three brotherhood alliance, where you have this MNDA and, Kachin, this Arakan Army, and then you have the TNLA. Now, historically, what is or this is I know this is the truism is that you have an inner Myanmar and you have an outer Myanmar. And outer Myanmar has always been in a very, very tenuous, it has very tenuous bond with the inner Myanmar, which is inhabited by the Burmans, who are the Buddhists. And when I was talking about this American influence through the church, that is the Baptist church, so I told you that the Chins are there, the Nagas are there, the Kachins are there, the Karenis are there, the Karens are there, right? So this entire ring is, they are all US proxies. And let me tell you, a lot of people were telling me, that Arakan Army, their weapons are being supplied by the Chinese through the USWA. That is the United States War Army, which was once upon a time the Communist Party of Burma, right? And there were very fierce, fight those days, before Deng came in. So have you ever noticed one thing? I don't know. Let me put a question like this: who do you think has the biggest stakes in Myanmar at the moment? Of course, we have. But the Chinese also have huge stakes.
Absolutely.
There is the Chokview port, madam, where they have invested $7 billion, $7.2 billion. Then there you have this oil and gas pipeline going from Chokview to Yunnan. And then you have this special economic zone there created. And I think at a cost of about $1.2 billion. Now, have you noticed something? That the Arakan Army or any of these ethnic EAO, you may call them, ethnic armed organizations, they have never targeted any Chinese interests, including the pipeline that gas and long gas and oil pipeline. So therefore, they are not going to target this Kaladan project. I have heard the interview of their leaders as of yesterday. They have said that there will not be an obstacle to it. And as it is, you see, I mean, the Chinese have realized, we also realized in 88, 89, that, I mean, this is the arrangement that is there in the country. That is the tenuous hold they have over these Kachins, all these, the outer Myanmar. So they have pitched their policy accordingly. They have decided to live with that chaos, a controlled chaos. The Chinese know that there is a chaos, so they live with the controlled chaos. They have their linkages, they have their proxies, And I think we also, I mean, we must be having our linkages. After all, you can't do away with the reality. So this is, and what has happened today that, you started your program with this Kaladan project.
Right.
Kaladan project is one of the reasons. One of the reasons for this entire, you see this entire, Manipur in fire. And then it is also, you brought the issue of St. Martin Island. This place, Paleteva, is just in the Chin state, is just 20 kilometers from Bangladesh border.
Right.
So what did Sheikh Hasina speak? She spoke about St. Martin Island, she said that one white man, he told about, creating a Christian country and they want St. Martin Island. And the Chief Minister of Mizoram, Lalu Dhoma, in his interaction and talk in Maryland and in Indianapolis, he made it very clear that yes, there is a project about a Christian land carved out of Myanmar, India, and Bangladesh. So please look at this entire problem with a holistic perspective.
Right. All right,
Have I been
Kanan?
able to explain?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that. I'll come back to you. I want to come to Subir Bhaumik right now. Subir has been patiently with us. Subir, what does it really mean for the people of Myanmar? We now know that Rohingyas have fled due to ethnic cleansing by military junta. They're not sure if the Arakan Army is going to support us. Bangladesh currently hosts about 1.2 million Rohingyas in Cox's Bazar, in Bhasanchar. Does it mean that more Rohingya Muslims are now going to start fleeing Myanmar? What does it mean for India and for Bangladesh?
Well, the Rohingyas have burned their boats both ways. They targeted the ARSA, the Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army, attacked 40 Burmese posts in 2017, and that started the latest wave of problems. The Burmese army hit back very heavily, forcing tens of thousands of Rohingyas to flee. Now, in the present round of fighting between the Arakan Army and the Burmese military junta, the Rohingya groups have sided with the Burmese military, which means they have upset the Arakan Army. And the Arakan Army today is not only attacking the fascist military junta, as they put it, but also their Rohingya, and they call them illegal Bengali. Yeah, that's how they pronounce it. Yeah, because I've lived in Myanmar and speak the language. So, the Rohingyas have burned their boat and they are now going to face the wrath of the Arakan Army. Now that the Arakan Army has taken control of Mongdo and perhaps the entire border region with Bangladesh, the Rohingyas will find it very difficult to flee into Bangladesh. But given a chance, they will, because they are in serious trouble. That's number one.
Okay.
Let me also bring you up to date with certain things which Colonel Singh was talking about. The Chinese have already intervened in Myanmar. We are sleeping. They have forced the MNDDA, the Kokand rebel group, and the TNLA to sit on talks, to start talking to the military junta. They even interned the chief of the MNDA, one of their top commanders, Pendak Sun, in Kunming, until he agreed that I will start talking. We will start talking. There's also another point. These ethnic rebel groups have not touched Chinese interests, but the PDF, which is Burma, which is largely ethnic Burma, they have set off explosions in 2 offtake stations in Mandalay on this Yunnan-Chakpyu pipeline. So they have made no secret of their dislike for the Chinese, because they think that the military junta is backed by the Chinese. The ethnic rebel groups have not directly targeted. The UWSA is basically very close to the Chinese. They have even given them aerial manpads to shoot down helicopters, which is why the Burmese military have never touched the UWSA in the last couple of years. But the Kachins today control the rare earth mines of Sittwe and Pangwat, and they have closed the gate, the main gate of Muse, through which these rare earths were going to China. And this has led to a panic in the stock market, where the Chinese companies dealing with rare earths, their share value has fallen in the last 3 days. I closely monitor the Shanghai stock market. So what we have done so far is wait and watch. Jaishankar said, in Myanmar, our policy is wait and watch. We repose total faith. And there was a point of time when Colonel Singh will know, the late B.B. Nandi, when he was RAW's additional secretary, had set up a very good link between us and the Kachins. But we discontinued that. We put all our eggs in one basket. We decided to go with the military. Now, the Kachins, the Americans cultivate them, rightly said, through church and other linkages. The Chins, we don't have real much contact. And we have said, we believe in wait and watch. We didn't even send a peace mission because we have ties with the Burmese military. We know the ethnic organizations and of course the major political parties. But we sat and we said we will wait and watch. We repose total faith in ASEAN 5-point consensus. As far as I'm concerned, and I have a little bit of military education, I'm an importer. So, I think wait and watch is the other name of strategic inaction. We have done very little. As far as the Arakan Army is concerned, because of Operation Leech and the history is old, they didn't trust us initially. They, in fact, attacked some of the boats that were carrying construction material for the Kaladan project. But belatedly, they are trying to, warm up to India. They are saying that we will not obstruct the Kaladan project because Kaladan project leading to the development of Sittwe port and the waterways, that actually is a project which benefits the Rakhine province economically.
Okay.
Yeah, and it does not affect the fishing grounds, which the Chinese project does. The Chokpyu project affects the local Rakhine fishing grounds very seriously. Lastly, I'd like to make this point. In Bangladesh, Yunus and his people sort of are pampering this anti-Indian sentiment, and some of their ex-servicemen are saying, we can conquer Calcutta in 4 days and all that nonsense, Let them first go and deal with the Arakan Army. Because the problem is, as far as the Bangladesh government is concerned, at some point of time, they were playing footsie with all these rebel groups on their border. With the Rohingya, certainly, but even with the Arakan Army. But now that the Arakan Army has fallen foul with the Rohingya groups, and I've already told them that we will sort you guys out because you sided with the Burmese military. Even a brigadier general, guarding this Momdao area has been arrested by the Arakan Army. They have captured 12 out of the 18 townships in Rakhine province. 66% of the land area of Myanmar today is controlled by ethnic armed groups and the PDF and this other, pro-resistance group. So Burmese military junta has practically lost the amount of territories that they don't really have, any wherewithal to run a national government anymore. So here we have a situation
I have to therefore ask further. We are running short on time, gentlemen. Sorry. So I have to further ask. Therefore, Major General Meston, where does it leave the regional dynamics, the interest of the regional parties such as Bangladesh, Thailand? Because now there will be concerns that Chinese are literally on their doorsteps, potentially will be sitting in on meetings with Myanmar officials.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, this entire area is now going to be absolutely complex, very, very complicated. Both these is complex and complicated. And really, no one can predict the outcome of this entire area. But there will be a lot of strategic and security implications for India. See, firstly, there are a lot of internal conflicts within Myanmar itself.
Colonel Singh, any legitimate right now challenges vis-a-vis Chinese sitting officially with Myanmar, officials going forward? Are you concerned that Chinese forces will be at the doorstep of Bangladesh, Thailand, and practically India as well?
No, but the Chinese influence has always been a fact. Ever since the Slock regime came to power in 1988, and even before that, you isolated that country. We too also played that, played to the gallery, for Suu Kyi, towards Suu Kyi. Then I was there in Military Intelligence Directorate then, and then we insisted that, if you want to control the insurgency environment in the Northeast, you have to take the ruling dispensation into of Myanmar. That time that was a Slock regime and later SDPC into into confidence, and we did it. We did it. We did cooperate. There is absolutely no doubt about it. So it is nothing. I mean, tell me, what do the Myanmaris do? Whom did they turn to? You have isolated, and madam, it's not easy to keep that country together. Let me tell you.
Right.
Don't, for God's sake, apply the template of that Western, Western democracy on Myanmar. It's very, very difficult to keep that country together, and that is why time and again, the military, in some form or the other, directly or indirectly, it asserts itself, and so has been the case with entire Southeast Asia. So, I mean, the Chinese, I told you that their stakes are very high. Okay. Myanmar is the only country through which they can have an access to the Indian Ocean. And on the converse, I mean, it also becomes an important part of the Indo-Pacific strategy. So this is what is going on actually, on geopolitically in this region. And just one last thought. Bangladesh, I would advise, I mean, not to be so belligerent in their comments about India. They should not forget that the Arakanese are not too far away from Chittagong Hill Tracts, which actually shouldn't have gone to Pakistan.
Okay. All right.
I may just say this.
All right. Mr. Bhawmik, before I let you go and before I let all of you go, there are legitimate concerns, of course, that Bangladesh's support, both tacit as well as overt, has led to Rohingya armed actors facilitating the rise of militant groups and the Arakan Army taking over that large part of the border area. And it's turned out to be a headache today for Bangladesh, if I may put it that way. And, should Yunus government be at this point prepared for what's to come? Because this is literally sitting on their borders right now, Arakan Army, and trying to capture some of its own strategic points as well.
Well, the Arakan Army is perhaps one of the three most strong, of the strongest rebel groups or ethnic armed organization in Myanmar today. Apart from the UWSA, the WAS, the Kachins, they are the best. And they were raised by the Kachins actually, in 2007-8. But the point here is, Yunus and the Bangladesh government can do very little. If the Arakanis and the Kachins and these groups are not listening to the Chinese and sitting for talks. Some groups have, the MNDDA and the Tangs have, the TNLA. But Kachins have refused to start talking to the junta, so have the Arakanis. They have continued with the military campaign. If they're not listening to the Chinese and they're not giving much, to us except sending in olive branch that we will not disturb the Kaladan port because Kaladan project, because it benefits them. You mean to say they are going to take anything from Yunus? They are going to take anything from Bangladesh? They are going to give it them. They are going to do what is in their best interest. Now there is a major contradiction that the Arakan Army is now caught up with. If they take over a few more townships, they can jolly well raise their flag and say Arakan is independent. Something that most patriotic Arakanis or Rakhines have wanted since 1784 when the Burmese king took over this kingdom. But now that they are also aligned closely with the NUG and the other Burmese resistance groups, they have already said that we are not going to declare independence, we are going to take this fight for democracy ahead, which means that we are not going to announce a separate Arakan or Rakhine, but we are going to stick it out with the NUJ and the other ethnic groups to actually kick out the military junta from power.
So it's going to be a difficult position.
The Chinese role is important because they have, listen. The Chinese have very clearly said that they are going to back Min Aung Hlaing, General Min Aung Hlaing. They made it very clear. They hosted him for the first time. Recently, they hosted him in Beijing. And they said that we are going to, keep these people, we want them to talk.
Absolutely. It's going to be a very tricky position right now, but I think we've run out of time, gentlemen. Thank you very much for taking time out. Major General Sanjay Meston, Colonel RSN Singh and Subir Bhawmik, thank you for taking time out for joining us on the show.